Hey guys, welcome to today's Dream Life webcast. I'm especially excited to share this with you guys because it's something that I see so very often. It's something that's quite prevalent in our society, and it's something that I feel that needs to be addressed, but doesn't quite get the attention that it deserves. And there's nobody really talking about it per se. So if you're on the call live or if you're listening to the replay, I would love to know that you've popped in. I'd love to hear your feedback in regards to your thoughts to this concept. Hey guys. And I'd also really appreciate if you could let me know if this is something that resonates or that you can relate to in regards to your own life. So before I dive right in, I want to share a really crazy and a little bit of a ridiculous statistic with you guys. And give you the story of what prompted this whole awareness. So as you know, my name is Anik, or as you don't know, this might be your first time tuning in. And I am the founder of Mastering Ascension. I've been servicing and working with people for a number of years, helping them to identify what their limiting beliefs are so that they can stop fighting with themselves and move forward in the direction of their goals. So one of the big things that I really look at is what I call mindset therapy. It's about getting you in the right perspective, getting your subconscious and conscious beliefs and awarenesses in alignment with each other so that you can move forward comfortably and in an empowered state in the direction of your goals. And with that comes not just mindset therapy, because I don't believe that it starts and it ends there. It's a huge component. But then once you get in the right mindset, it's really important to follow up that mindset in the action stage. So I'll just give you guys a few seconds to get logged in. Make sure everyone's got their sound on and turn your volume up because you're going to definitely want to hear some of the stuff. You never know, you might win the million and you would probably like to hang on to that money. So where this all came from is my partner and I, Terry, had this conversation a few weeks ago, and I see this a lot, and I really wanted to get to the bottom of it. So what I did is I mapped out the pattern that we go through when we experience a windfall. And so this was all really triggered about, I wanted to, for no apparent reason, I was at the grocery store and they had like the $69 million lotto was going. And I'm not one to buy lottery tickets. But I thought, for fun, like let's buy a ticket and see what happens. And then so Terry and I we sat down and we're like, okay, well, if we're going to manifest this money, let's get in alignment with receiving it. And what pursued was like almost a weekend full of uncovering a whole bunch of limiting beliefs and perspectives that we had and what challenges might come up if we were to win that money. And then it really we dove deep into the rabbit hole, and it was really the inspiration for offering you this particular short webcast. So you might not know this, or maybe you do, but did you know that 70% of people who win the lottery are broke within 5 years? It's pretty staggering, isn't it? And, I know a lot of us don't think that, well, I'm not necessarily going to win the lottery, or you may not. But I want you to think of it in different terms, because the same mind-body response happens whether you're winning the lottery, whether you have a windfall of any kind, if you get an inheritance, if you get a promotion, if you work for yourself, if you get an influx of new clients, if you hit the lottery with your new partner. For example, if you meet like a really great person and for you, that's a windfall. So I want you to know that the concepts that I'm going to talk about today and share with you is not so much specific to winning the lottery. You know, when we think windfall, we think inheritance or we think lottery winnings. But I want you to know that this actually applies to any time you have an experience of good fortune that is outside of what you normally experience in your everyday life. So what we're going to focus on today is, first, we're going to talk about the mind-body pattern that happens when you have a windfall. And so the first thing I want to identify, and I'm going to do this old school because I don't know if it's a full moon, but the computer was being kind of funny this morning. So if you've been in any of my workshops, you know how much I love my whiteboard. So I'm gonna create one for you guys. So I want to give you an idea of what physically happens. I'm super visual, so I like to use these. So this is like your normal life. So you're going around in your normal life and you have like your normal experience. You know, you wake up, you go in, you go out every day. And then you have a windfall experience, and it actually moves you up. Oops, it's like super backwards. It moves you up in your experience. So it pushes you in a higher experience that you're used to living in a normal day-to-day. So in other terms, this normal experience that you have, this is what you might consider your comfort zone. This is where your subconscious is comfortable. This is where you're not triggering any of your fears, because this is what you're used to. You might not be super in love with it. It might feel a little bit mediocre or not super exciting for you. However, your subconscious likes it here because it knows what to expect. It gets up every morning. It has it pre-calculated how it's going to keep you alive and safe all day. So then you have your windfall, and it brings you into a higher state of being, a higher vibration. And so what happens is right away your body has, you have all of these feelings that happen, right? So I want you to pretend or imagine, have you ever had an experience where you've had a windfall, right? And when you have that windfall, a whole bunch of new emotions come up that maybe you're not used to living in that level of feeling in your day-to-day life. So you get excited, you feel free, you have choices, you feel like this feeling of abundance, you're feeling like you're in the flow. Maybe if you have an influx of cash, you feel like you have all this choice, all this freedom, all this liberty. You have all of this peace of mind because you know where your money's going to come from for the next X amount of time. So there's all this new level of feeling that you experience that is not what you experience maybe in your normal day-to-day life. Okay, so you follow me so far? So you have your normal life, and then you have a windfall, and it pushes you to have an experience that is outside of what you normally would have. Then you have a heightened sense of these feelings, that it's in a higher level of feeling that you're used to experiencing day to day. So keep that in mind. Now, how the body works in conjunction with the mind is that your physical body adapts to your current circumstances and your comfort zone or your day-to-day experiences, right? So what that means in like real terms is your cells, your red blood cells, has cell receptors for the normal amount of protein that you get, the normal amount of vitamins that get, the normal amount of A, B, and C. But what it also does is every time you experience an emotion in your life, your neurological system excretes a chemical composition that is in direct relationship with anger. Or that emotion. And I use anger as an example today because it's one that most people can effortlessly identify. When you're having a feeling of anger, you can feel it, the rage kind of mounting in every cell in your body, right? So there's this chemical that's released when you feel anger, and it actually flows into your into every aspect of your body, goes into your bloodstream. It's excreted by your glands. So all sorts of adrenalines and endorphins and a cocktail of hormones, if you will. So just to keep the science a little bit simple, just to make it a little bit simplified. So you have this chemical cocktail that's released, that's in direct relationship to, that's a representative of the feeling that you are having, that you're experiencing. So the mind has a reaction to an experience, and then it responds with a feeling. And then in the response of the feeling, it triggers a chemical excretion into your bloodstream. You with me so far? Good. So then what happens is all your little red blood cells have X amount of cell receptors for joy, for pain, for suffering, for anger, for freedom. It has a certain amount of cell receptors based on what it's adapted to what your normal comfort zone day-to-day living is. So for example, if you live every day with a certain level of joy, and then you have a really big influx of joy that, let's say your joy level went up this much, then joy will feel good for a while because it's almost like euphoric, if you will. But then after a while, your body will feel like an overflow, and it'll actually start to bring you down because you'll have overwhelmed your cell receptors for joy. Now, what will happen is, yes, you might be at this level of joy on your day-to-day, but as soon as you have like a really big experience of joy, then you increase and you develop and create more cell receptors for that feeling. And everyone's got a different amount that they can create, like within a day, within an experience. The average is about 20%, and that's more of a channeled number. So you might not find that in the textbooks, but when I've tapped into people, comfortable amount to increase cell receptors in a moment is about 20% for particular emotions. So let's pretend, just for fun, that you are comfortable expanding out your comfort zone to about 20% more than what you did just a moment ago. And you can do that comfortably without triggering any fear, any discomfort, that you can expand into this new, previously uncharted territory, if you will, to about 20% comfortably on average for most people. So follow me so far? So now what happens is, let's say you have 50% or 100% more joy coming into your life because of this good fortune that you've just experienced. So your cell receptors will respond. They'll start creating more cell receptors for all of the feelings that's associated with that experience. And then it will do that to a level that it can comfortably. And then what happens is then it starts to get overwhelmed. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but you'll actually start to get overwhelmed with the level of joy hormones in your body because you don't have the system adapted to that level of joy, to that level of comfort, to that level of security, to that level of anger even, right? So your physical body is adapted to your comfort zone. When you have an experience that pushes you out of your comfort zone, and that includes good fortune, you have an abundance of this feeling that is over and above what your body is designed or adapted to do. So then what it does is it just goes in its automatic systems and starts to put the brakes on the overflow. And this is where we start to sabotage. So just for fun, how many of you, if you want to like be super courageous and kind of raise your hands or give us a yes or no, how many of you have experienced a really great opportunity and then now in retrospect, you recognize or you realize that you sabotaged it? So I'll just get like a show of hands. And just make sure this applies to everybody. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up or give me a hello. Let me know where you're at, so then that way I can identify if this is resonating with you guys. So let's just see here. So have you in the past gotten a great opportunity. And sometimes what this sounds like is you hear yourself talking yourself out of it. You're like, well, here are all the reasons why it's not a good idea. So relationships, like you start to like nitpick and try to find something wrong with them. What's wrong with them? Why do they like me so much? There must be something wrong with them. They must be up to something. And then you literally sabotage this, what might have been a really great opportunity or relationship. New job. Sometimes I've seen somebody talk themselves out of a new job because it was like 5 minutes more of a drive and it was like way more money, way more opportunity. And thank God we caught it when we did. But what was happening was outside of their comfort zone. It was so much more than they were used to, that they started to like nitpick at all of these. Well, you know, it's going to take me like 5 more minutes. And I was like, okay, well, if that's why you don't want this great new job, that's like way more money, way more opportunity, and it's not a dead end. You actually can have a chance to grow in the company. Then we should really talk about what's really holding you back from saying yes to that opportunity. And it was all sabotage. So as soon as we put our finger on it, it was super easy to identify. So it looks like we got a lot of yeses, we get a lot of thumbs up. So everyone has experienced and kind of been a witness to themselves to self-sabotage. Now, in that experience, do you remember how it felt like you were sabotaging yourself, but it's almost like you were watching yourself sabotage yourself and you're trying to stop sabotaging yourself, but it felt stronger than you? Does that resonate? So in that experience where you recognize that you're sabotaging yourself, I'll let you think about this because it's kind of a long sentence. So in that experience where you recognize that you were sabotaging yourself in the past, do you remember being a witness to your self-sabotage and feeling that it was out of your control to a certain extent, where you were fighting with yourself and the part of you that was self-sabotaging almost felt stronger than the part of you that wanted to not self-sabotage? Does that resonate? And I hope you all brought your hot cup of something, because we're going to have a nice candid chat about how we sabotage good fortune. Good. So whether you're on the replay or if you're listening live, I would love to hear about how you witness your own self-sabotage. Is it, do you see it happening and then you feel powerless to see it? It feels like it's like a train running off the track and there's nothing that you can do to change it. You feel like you can't get ahead of it. So what words would you use to describe how you recognize and identify what self-sabotage feels for you? Okay, good. So you guys all kind of pulling that. Okay, so essentially what happens is you have a really, you're living your life day to day. You have a really, I don't want this backwards. You have a really great experience. And then what your subconscious does is it wants to get you back to something where it's comfortable. Now, what's really fun about this is I'll kind of show you, because I hear this a lot from people and I want to illustrate for you what this means. Now, when I hear this a lot, it's like, well, I'm better than I used to be. And I'm like, oh my God, please don't make that the standard for which you live your life. Because it's good. Yes, acknowledge all of your strides and acknowledge everything that you grow by, but don't allow that to validate or disvalidate your capacity to grow faster and stronger. So this is like where you would have been, normally, right? So this is your normal comfort zone pre-windfall. And then you have a windfall, you self-sabotage, and then you bring yourself back to a place where you're more comfortable, and your new current comfort zone is better than your old previous comfort zone. So because you gained some cell receptors, this became your new level of feeling that you're comfortable with in a day-to-day. So your reality changes and improves, which is great. And now what a lot of people, when they look at life, it kind of looks like this. You have your life, you have a windfall, you sabotage, you have a life, you have a windfall, you sabotage, you have a life, you windfall, you have a self-sabotage, you have a life. And so this is, for me, when people say, well, I'm better than I used to be, which is totally cool, this is the pattern that they're getting there by. So they're having something good happen. they're self-sabotaging it to the point where they feel comfortable with it. And then they're doing this. They feel like, oh my God, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And so this is what happens because you're not pre-adapted to this new windfall experience before you move into it. And what I love about working with the subconscious is the subconscious, which is a super cool, super tool. You're all superheroes, like with your subconscious. It decides how many cell receptors you have for joy, for pain, for suffering, for anger, for resentment, etc., etc. So what we do with theta healing, which is a modality that I really love using because it's like super quick and easy to shift this, is we pre-adapt you to your preferred experience. And so like you might not like be like, okay, I'm going to win the lottery tomorrow, and so therefore I'm going to like change my vibration so that I'm aligned with it. And that's not necessarily like the goal that we make because, you know, like you could win the lottery. That's not a possibility. But what we look at more is what would you want your life to look like? And what would be the levels of joy, peace, serenity, freedom, security, liberty that you would feel if this was your comfort zone, if this was your current reality? And what is your current reality? What is your current comfort zone? What are your current levels of feelings and in what order, right? So you might have X amount of a level of happiness, and X amount of level of fear, and X amount of level of drama. And I know this sounds a little bit crazy because everyone says, I don't like drama. And consciously, none of us really enjoy drama. But on a subconscious level, if you're used to experiencing drama in your current comfort zone in your everyday life at some level, you have cell receptors that are in direct relationship with that level of drama. And what happens, just like when you're hungry, when your cell receptors doesn't get its fix of drama, it will go find some. Subconsciously, it will be like, oh my God, I'm used to having X amount of drama. What's wrong? Where'd my drama go? So we'll actually go out looking for it. And you people wonder like, oh my God, that's like what's happening. It's like you want to move forward and you want to get away from certain experiences, and then you get a little bit of a reprieve from it, and then it's almost like you get like the floodgates open, and then you're like drama. You're like, what happened? It was so great for like X amount of time, and then it came and it slapped me in the face. It's like because your body was like, oh my God, I'm so hungry for my drama. Where is it? And then you'll actually like find it, cultivate it, attract it to yourself with no conscious awareness that you're doing this, because it's all subconscious. It's all in your vibration. And the subconscious believes, hey, well, I'm used to having X amount of drama in my life. It doesn't recognize that drama or pain is a good or bad thing. And well, of course, pain is obviously a bad thing, but it doesn't recognize different types of emotions or as good as bad. It just recognizes it as an emotion or as a feeling. It's not like a good feeling or a bad feeling. It's just an emotional response to an experience. So the subconscious doesn't really quantify it as good feeling, bad feeling. It quantifies that as alive, dead. So your conscious's job is really there to help you proactively identify and plan for, what do I want for myself? And that's where that blend between what do I want out of my life gets a little complicated for some people, because it's really a blend in conscious awareness and subconscious connection to your inner desires. Are you desiring A, B, and C because you've always had it in your life and that's what you were raised in as a comfort zone experience? Or do you really want that in your life because that's what your true, authentic desires validate and quantify for you? All right, so you guys following me so far? I'll ask you guys to give me a thumbs up or a wave or a, oh my God, I have no idea what you're talking about. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. And if you have any questions about so far, I can't see who's saying the comments, but I'm getting a lot of thumbs up. So if you have a question, go ahead and pop it in so that I can see it. Good. I'm just kind of reading through the comments here. So, yeah, you guys are all getting, okay, good. So you're all kind of understanding what I'm getting at here. So you're adapted to your current reality. Your current reality might not necessarily be what you want for yourself. We're pretty much clear on that. Now, let me talk about, and more clearly itemize, if you will, your good fortune triggers. So I talked about the new levels of feelings, right? So you get what I call receptor overload. You're like, whoa, so much joy. What am I going to do with all this joy? And then your body adapts to it, but it only adapts to it to the level that you're comfortable with. And as you know, some people can adapt more effortlessly and easier than other people, just because of the way that they're designed, if you will, their life experiences. Now, there will be a replay, so if you're listening to the replay, I would love to hear your comments, because I'm going to be checking them in later. So go ahead, just let me know if this is resonating with you, and this is going to be available in our Dream Life Mastermind. So, because I think it's such a key and essential piece of information for people to be self-aware. It's like you're not sabotaging yourself because you're a jerk. You're sabotaging yourself because of this mind-body physiology connection that's just out of conflict with itself. And if we can resolve that, well, then you can get out of your own way and get into Awesomeville, right? And that's my primary goal, to support you guys in getting there. So now we talked about the new levels of feelings and then creating the receptor overload. Now, then what happens is everything that you think, believe, identify with, that you relate to in your life is often related to your current comfort zone level of living. So A plus B equals C is your regular Monday to Friday, Monday to Sunday life, right? So then when you change your life in a snapshot or in a windfall, when there's a big change that happens, all of your belief structures are then challenged. Who are you with all of this new money? How am I going to trust whether they want to be my friend or they're just after my money? And I'm just kind of using like $1 million so you can get some kind of insight as to some of the beliefs that get triggered when we get a windfall. It's not just about like the simple stuff. It's about our relationship that we have with ourselves, how we see ourselves, how we think we see other people see us, what judgments other people might have of us if we have this new type of life, because you've got used to living in your old life and you have all the subconscious programs to support it. So when you move and get bumped into a higher vibration or a higher way of living, well, then it challenges all the status quo of your belief structure. Right? It challenges all of your relationships. It brings up judgment, fear of rejection. It brings up fear of loss. What if, like my friends don't like the new me? What if I have nothing to talk about if I can't gossip? And I actually had that come up in a session once. They're like, well, I'm afraid I'm going to lose my friends, because we were doing digging on the fear. And I was like, well, why? It's like, well, I realize now that a lot of our conversations are based on talking about other people, judgments, and gossip. And if we're not comparing war stories, or if we're not talking about someone else, then I'm not really sure what I'm going to talk about with my friends. So I'm going to lose all of my friends that I've been friends with for X amount of years. And, that's not necessarily true, right? So what we did is we need to reprogram and create programs so that you know how to relate with people without needing to gossip for some reason. When we look at money and having a windfall, we have so many beliefs about money, and our relationship with money is for a lot of people, it's always a major issue. Some people have positive relationships with money, which is super awesome. And if you do, high five. Most people have a non-supportive relationship with money. And for so many reasons. It either is how they identify their value. It might be that they are always in lack of it, or always feel a victim to the need to have or not have it. Or they always feel like it's controlling their life, because they feel like if they had money, well, then they would be able to live their lives in the way that they want it. So your relationship with money can be triggered when you win money. Your relationship with what you think relationships look like, your relationship with men or women gets challenged if you meet that really great person, because everything that you've known before didn't have that in your reality. So you're kind of basically, I want you to think of it this way. It's like you're a fish out of water. You're a very comfortable fish in your comfort zone. And then when you have a windfall, it's like you drop yourself in a different pool of water, and you can only adapt so much before you're going to be like, oh my God, I got to get back into my old pool. And that you don't necessarily go back to where you were, but you'll notice that you sabotage it. And sometimes people will do, here, let me show you what it looks like. They'll do this, right? So they're living their normal life. Oops. They're living their normal life. They have the windfall. They totally crash and burn. But then when they come back out of it, it is higher than what their old reality was. So I do have some people that do this, like heartbeat kind of thing, where they have a windfall. They're like, their body goes into sabotage overload. They totally crash and burn. But when they recover, their recovery is a little bit better than where they were. So what's really fun about identifying these patterns is when you identify the pattern that your subconscious uses to help you grow and expand and evolve, to help you adapt to your new experiences, well, then you can systematically and very effortlessly go in and change the programs and the cell receptors and the mind-body connection and the physiological responses to your reality so that it's supportive of the reality that you want to live in. Some of the other things that come up that get challenged or that get triggered is it challenges all things that is the status quo of your life. Who will I become? What will my life look like now if I have A, B, or C, or if something shows up for me? So life as you know it essentially changes, and maybe in an instant sometimes. So then everything that you thought was going to happen, even though it was necessarily not good or bad, but everything that you thought that you happened and all the old plans and plan A and plan B, and in case of your emergency situation, a subconscious, all your subconscious programs and planning is now essentially challenged, and it needs to recreate itself because you're no longer in the situation that you were before. So it challenges all things that's essentially your status quo. And then one of the things that happens, and this comes up a lot, it's very tied into a social belief. There's this belief, and a lot of people have it, and you can even muscle test for it. So an easy way to muscle test is you can rub your thumb and your index together, and it should be smooth. Now, unfortunately, this one doesn't work for people who have clammy hands. So I'm sorry, this might not work. There's a whole bunch of different ways of doing it. So you can rub your thumb and your index together, and you can say, my body is easily adapted to good fortune. And if there's a particular type of good fortune that you know that you sabotage, so maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's money, maybe it's a promotion or job, then go ahead and rub that together and say that out loud. So for example, you want to say, my body easily adapts to good fortune, and then insert your a new positive loving relationship, yes or no. And to give you a baseline of what that feels like is when you rub them together, it should be soft. And then one way that you can kind of get your yes and no, and I'll just make sure that you guys are having a chance to follow me. So I'll get you, if you feel like it, you can do this. This will help you to tap into what your subconscious is really feeling. So muscle testing is kind of the equivalent of a lie detector test for your subconscious, but without the big fancy machine. So it's not 100% accurate all the time, but it will give you some insights. There's a few things that happen that kind of throw it off, but if you rub these together and say your name out loud, so my name is Anik, then this should still be smooth. And then you rub your fingers together and say, my name's Tony. Just try that and see what happens. And for a lot of people, it's like the direction changes, or all of a sudden it gets sticky. And then say something that's true again. I'm a woman. Let's see what happens. And on a hot sunny day, if you get clammy hands, it doesn't work very well. So there's a few different ways. You can do it this way too, where you're putting your thumb and your index together, you're holding it tight, and you're saying, my name is Anik, my name is Tony. So then you'll notice that it'll be, when you lie, your whole body responds to you, and it weakens you, if you will, because it kind of creates a shift in your field. And then you're strong. When your subconscious is in agreement with what you're saying consciously, it's in a strength. And when your subconscious is in disagreement with what you're saying, it will often weaken unless you have trauma shock, solid trauma, frozen energy, but that's like a whole other training in itself. So for fun, how many of you guys try this? So try, my name is so-and-so. Try, my name is Tony. Does that work for you guys? Is that working? Or for fun, you can say, show me a yes, 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 no, 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 no. And then see what happens. Let me know how it's working out for you. I'd love to hear. I have to do these trainings virtually, so it's always fun to see how quickly people can pick it up. So if you're on the call or you're listening to the replay, give me a thumbs up if this is working for you. You know what your yes is, you know what your no is. This is actually going to serve you a lot in figuring out what that is going on with your sabotaging, right? Okay. I'm just hearing somebody said sand. Yeah, somebody said it feels like sand for a no. So it's a very subtle thing. You're not going to get a slap in the face with this one. It's really subtle. It goes from soft to either sticky or like this other person's a great way of describing it, sandy. So that will give you a great thing. So go ahead and just say, my body's adapted to, and then or insert what you would like your reality to look like. My body's adapted to having $1 million. Is that a yes or a no? And some people will say it's sticky, or you'll actually change directions, and that's completely normal too. So, and then some people will actually feel like almost a little nauseous when they say something. And I kind of joke and say, you know, when you say something out loud, you know if you're full of shit, right? When I say my name is Tony, like my body's like, what? And I just like, I can hear it in my voice that I'm just totally full of it. So muscle testing, listening to the tone of your voice, listening, using kind of this is kind of like a dipstick, if you will, for your truth patterns. This will help you to identify for yourself where your truth is on a subconscious. Now, I want to make this clear because some people misinterpret what the goal of muscle testing is. So muscle testing will only show you what your subconscious beliefs are. It will not necessarily show you what the divine truth is, right? So I want you to know that you're like, this is the best job for me. If you get a yes, it's not like your angel's telling you yes. It's just your subconscious patterns going, according to my subconscious patterns, that this is the best job for me, right? You might have some subconscious patterns that are in conflict with that particular opportunity, or you might have them in support of. So I just wanted to make that clear, that muscle testing is not like this necessarily a gateway to your ultimate answer. It will only help you to identify where you might be in or out of balance on a subconscious level in your patterning with your goal. So I hope that's clear. And muscle testing is super, for most people, I would probably say I teach this. I've taught this to hundreds of people. I've done over 3,500 sessions with people in my career, just in my short career so far. And I would say about 95% of people, this works really well because it helps them, give them some perspective. So for fun, try it out. And I want to get some yeses and nos. So pick what would be a great windfall for you to have? Is it money? Is it a relationship? Is it a new job? Is it a new car? Like, what's your thing? So think or pick something that would be cool for you to have in your life. So I'll give you a second to do that while I enjoy a nice cup of my hot coffee. So what's your thing? And you can even pop it in the comments, and then maybe I'll do some downloads for you guys so you can get a healing on that. So if there's something that you're out of alignment with, you're like, I'd like a new car, I'd like a new relationship, I'd like a new job, I'd like some more money. What's your thing? What would you like? What would you like that would feel like a windfall for you? Nobody wants anything? What? Teasing. I know there's a delay on this. So I'll give you guys a second to catch up to me. So what is the thing that you would want in your life? And if you're too afraid to post it publicly, well, then you definitely have some limiting subconscious beliefs around actually having it. So just like to point that out. Okay, great. I think that the delay has finally caught up to us. So a stable, well-paying job. Now, perfect example. So my name is, and say your name out loud. Now, unfortunately, because of the system, I can't see the names because we're in a group, but you know who you are. So muscle test, my name is Anik, or my name is whatever your name is. And then muscle test, my name is Tony, or whatever your name is. If your name's Tony, obviously that's going to work. And for those of you who think money, well, pick a specific amount of money. So what amount of money is your body adapted to receive in like one shot? Like, so my body's adapted to receiving an extra $100. My body's adapted to receiving an extra $1,000. My body's adapted to receiving an extra $5,000. My body's adapted to receiving an extra $10,000. Play with that, right? Because you might have a glass ceiling of how much money or how much windfall or how much good fortune that you will give yourself permission to receive in one sitting. So you guys got some comments coming in. Oh, here. Good paying job, abundance of money. So more ideal clients. So perfect. So I'm actually seeing the names. I just realized I could just pull up a different window. So great, guys. So my body's physically adapted, or I have the cell receptors that I need to have $5,000 net income. What is that, a month? Is that a week? Is that a year? So be very specific when you're muscle testing. You need to be fairly specific because that will help you to identify where you're blocked. Just see who else we got on here. So we get some pretty, hey guys. Good. So is that resonating so far? So we got $50 million, $5,000 net, 10 million. Okay, so $10 million I'm not aligned with. So are you aligned with $9 million? And if you're fully and completely aligned with $9 million, my other question would be, then why don't you have $9 million? Because then there might be some other belief structures. So I love that you brought that up. So if you're fully and completely adapted to having $10 million, but you don't have $10 million, then the next question would be is, it's safe for me to have $10 million. Usually it's a safety thing. So yes or no, is it safe? It's like, I know what will happen to my relationships if I have $10 million. I'm allowed to have $10 million. Something bad will happen if I have $10 million. I will give up on my life's purpose if I have $1 million. So if you're getting that you're completely adapted to achieving your goal, but your goal hasn't been achieved, or you're not even close to having your goal, well, then the next question you need to ask yourself is like, so my body thinks it's adapted, but there's another program that's running in the background that is still not allowing me to create this reality. How many of you, just for fun, I'd love a show of hands, has had it at some point, had an intention about doing something? They're like, oh, I would like to, and I want to, and I'm going to try. And then as soon as you made a friggin' decision, you're like, that's it, enough of this shit. This is what's happening. And then as soon as you moved into decision and you're like done with waiting around, then it's like everything opened up for you. Have any of you ever had that experience where you're like, I'm trying and I'm setting my intentions and I'm doing my affirmations and I'm doing all my positive things and I'm gratituding and all of this stuff, but yet the thing is not showing up for you? And then it's almost like you decide one day, you're like, all right, that's enough. This is happening. And then as soon as you move into that decision, it's like you're Moses and the seas part for you. Like people show up, opportunities come calling, the seas part, the path is clear, you know exactly where to go. And that's where, when I work with people, when we look at manifesting, is 90% of people are stuck between intention and decision. And you actually don't move into the decision state until all of your subconscious programming and your body's adaptability is in complete alignment. So there's the physiological part. So there's the body, the cell receptors, but there's also the neurological part, which is your mindset, which is your brain's neurology that's programmed to know how to deal with the situation. And so your subconscious isn't going to allow you to move into a situation unless it knows what to do when it's in that situation. So there's two different aspects that come into play when we sabotage our good fortune. We talk a lot about mindset, it's super important, but what we don't talk about is also the physiological responses to the feelings. And that is a powerful trigger. Because when your cells are overwhelmed, your body goes into defense mechanism. It goes into survival mode, and then you start really sabotaging. Because it's like, oh, cannot compute too much of this, too much of this, too much of this. It's kind of like when you drink too much alcohol, and then you got to get rid of the extra alcohol. Your body just takes over. It doesn't care what you want or where you are or what looks good or not good. If you consume too much of a certain something, then your body will do what it needs to do to get you back into what its normal balance is. And that's somebody who drinks often will have a higher tolerance because they'll have more cell receptors. Someone who doesn't drink as much, I'm using alcohol here as a reference because chances are at some point you've had a little bit too much to drink, didn't feel so good. So I want you to think about it as in the same respect, right? Someone who drinks more often and certain types of alcohol will have a certain tolerance and adaptability to that level of chemical in their bloodstream. And someone who doesn't will have a much lower level. So same thing applies to feelings. You have cell receptors for feelings. And when your feeling receptors are not in alignment with the feelings that you're experiencing in your new reality, your body goes, whoa, and it almost responds in the same way that when you drink too much. It's like, okay, this does not feel good. I got to get rid of some of this stuff. And it'll start to do whatever it can in order to get you back closer to where it feels comfortable. Does that make sense? I know it doesn't make sense, but that's the one disclaimer about the subconscious mind is it's not really, it's rational in its own way. It's not rational in a conscious way. It's rational as in, I'm going to keep you breathing way. So for fun, what I would love to do with you guys today, if you're open to it, is I want to help you to prepare for your new windfall, for your new comfort zone. How does that sound? So I'm going to want some thumbs up just to see if that's the direction that you guys want to move in. So give me some thumbs ups, whether you're listening to the call or you're listening to the replay. I'd love to give me some thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up. See if that's what you guys want to do. Do you want to get adapted to your new reality? That's my, I'm a world-class singer. No, I'm kidding. That's not, that's not me. I have relatives that are very good musicians. I think that gene missed me, but I do love to sing. And anyway, so you guys good? So I got a couple of yeses. Definitely yes, thumbs up. Anybody else? Would you like me to walk you through and get you into that windfall experience? So kind of decide, like, while I'm talking about this, while we're waiting for other responses, what would you like that windfall to be, first of all? And you don't have to post it, or you can. That would be cool. That would actually help me to custom fit a little bit the meditation and the visualization. So feel free to like post, hey, I would love a new loving, supportive relationship. So I'm getting some yeses. Good, good, good. Fabulous. So think about the windfall. What would you like? Yeah. And some of our past experiences, someone just posted, I always self-sabotage because I end up thinking I can't pull it off. And because of past experiences, it's an internal battle, or I paraphrase there. So that's absolutely true. Our past experiences, sometimes when we have unresolved trauma or we still have some let's call it baggage, it will really keep us in that loop. And we simply need to release the trauma from those past experiences and rewrite a new program. Because when that trauma happened, we made a program in order to keep us safe in that moment. And then what happens is that program that was created during that time of trauma is still there. and we're still using it, but we're no longer in the traumatic experience, but the subconscious hasn't been updated. It hasn't been upgraded. So I'm hearing you guys want lots of money. Anybody want like an awesome relationship? Anybody in the relationship game right now? Where it's all about the money, 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 money. You guys want money, 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 money? How's that sound? Nobody for love? Nobody's looking for love? That's all right. We can do money. Awesome. Cool. Okay, so you guys gave me some pretty good stuff. So let's go ahead, take a few minutes, close your eyes if you can. If you're driving, do not do this. Do it later. There'll be a replay in the Dream Life Mastermind group. It will be there as soon as we're done. It will be posted, so don't panic. You can come back to this. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and I want you to pretend or imagine, remembering that this is not a test and visualization. I want you to pretend or imagine that you're living your new life. Whatever that looks like for you. It might be freedom from your past baggage. It might be lots of money in your bank account. It might be a new job. It might be a loving, supportive relationship, either with the person that you're with now, having that improved, or finding someone new, right? So whatever your windfall experience is cool. And I want you to focus more on what that would feel like, not so much what it would look like. So this awesome thing shows up. What are some of the feelings that come up for you? What are the positive feelings? And feel free to share them, right? So what I'm hearing from the group is freedom, choice, empowerment, security, relief. I can breathe. It's like, oh, I can breathe. I'm feeling that from a lot of you guys. Oh, finally. So it's almost like a feeling of elation. Peace of mind. Let's see what else you guys got going on here. Okay, I'm hearing most of you guys do not have the cell receptors to have that level of those feelings right now. So let's increase those, but by 20% for now, because what I'm getting is that, and I'm hearing, let's do 15 to 20% depending on who you are, and your subconscious mind will recognize what is a better fit for you. So, and this might mean excitement, joy, elation, freedom, choice, empowerment, security. Let's see what else. Love, comfort, passion, satisfaction. So let's go ahead and increase, and I'm hearing as a blanket I can do for everyone 15%. So let's increase by 15% the cell receptors that you have for those feelings. However, I want to be very specific here for your own good, and that 15% and those feelings are being satisfied by supportive means. So by supportive means, and let's show you the highest truth and perspective as to what a supportive mean is, and allow you to identify and allow you to align with the truth of what a supportive way of fulfilling that new level of need is. So you're not eating extra cookies. We don't want you to be like, I'm so happy, I'm having 20% extra cookies. That's not what we're going for here. We want extra money in your bank account. We want maybe feeling more understood in your existing relationship. We want maybe an influx of new clients that are happy, ready, willing, and able to work with you and are happy to compensate you for what you're worth, right? Maybe you have a new level of success, freedom, joy, abundance, excitement. So let's go ahead and increase those positive cell receptors and show you how to satisfy that new higher level of feeling through positive means only. And let's show you exactly what that means. So we're not mincing words here. Right? Because we all know chocolate ice creams are a really great way to get some joy, right? So I don't want you to go out and buy a tub of ice cream after this session. I want you to have more money in your bank account or to feel more loved in your relationship. Okay, and I'm hearing a higher sense of peace, a higher sense of serenity. A higher sense of authenticity, great one. So let's go ahead and increase those cell receptors as well, and allowing them to be met through positive, supportive means only. I want to be very specific. And allowing this to occur through full and complete joy and ease, and in the highest best for you and everyone involved. And in order to get these downloads, you just need to say yes out loud. Now, tell me some of the things that you are now experiencing less in this new reality. Remember, because you have still level of this for fear, for struggle, for feelings of lack, for feelings of lack of understanding, lack of certainty, feelings of judgment, feelings of rejection, right? So we want to now decrease, and these ones we can do pretty good because feeling less shitty stuff is a pretty safe thing to do. Increasing feelings, I do that very specifically, and I do it with a big disclaimer of you're going to satisfy that new level through positive means. And I do that because of our society lives in a little bit of an addiction towards money, work, substances, behaviors, right? So I'm hearing less anxiety, less stress, less lack, less fear, less uncertainty. I'm actually hearing less depression, less sadness, less struggle, less conflict, less drama, less pressure, less overwhelm, less sabotage, okay, less waiting, less fear. I'm hearing less fear of disappointment, less fear of being disappointed, less feelings of hopelessness. So now with your permission, let's go ahead and reduce your cell receptors by 20% for all of those feelings that apply to you. Would that be okay? With joy and ease, and in the highest and best for you and everyone involved. And let's release you from the obligations to satisfying those old level of needs, and release anyone else in the obligation of helping you fulfill those old levels of feelings. Would that be okay? Good. Let's clear any trauma, shock, cellular trauma, and frozen energy that you have around releasing those past experiences. Let's allow you to keep all the wisdom and lessons that you learned from those past experiences, but without needing to move forward with having those negative experiences teach you. Would that be okay? Good. So let's allow you to learn peace through peace, abundance through abundance. And I'm going to be I'm going to pull that one. I'm going to say prosperity through prosperity, because abundance is a sneaky word. It sounds good, but you can have an abundance of bills. You can have an abundance of debt. Abundance unmanaged can be too much of something, right? So I like to use the word wealth, prosperity, financial affluence. And when I'm working with people more one-on-one, I don't use, and even when I'm doing group stuff, I don't use the word abundance per se as a label, as a general label, because, okay, let's create more abundance for you. Well, if you're not specific and you're used to creating a lot of problems, yay, let's create abundance. You're just going to create more problems because you're going to default to your natural programming. So let's go ahead and clean all of that up for you. So we're going to show you who you are, how to live your life, what your life looks like in this new reality, and how to do it comfortably. Would that be okay? In the highest and best, and with joy and ease. Good. Take a deep breath. Yes, abundance can be overwhelming because it's just too much. Sometimes it's too much. So wealth is basically managed abundance, right? You have a lot of the right things in the right amounts. Good. So I'll get you guys to take, and I'm also hearing something that we didn't that we didn't take it into consideration. And actually that didn't come up in this group, but I'm hearing that some of the replay people will need it, is health. So let's show you what it is and what it feels like to be in a state of optimal health. Let's increase the cell receptors for feelings, for the feeling of being healthy, feeling safe and secure in your level of health, and showing you how to meet that new level of feeling of health through positive, supportive means only, with joy and ease and in the highest and best for you. Okay. Releasing the feelings and the cell receptors for feeling unhealthy, sluggish, tired, lethargic, pain. There's another word here for you guys. Hopeless. The feeling that this is a never-ending journey of pain and suffering. So pain and suffering. So let's reduce the cell receptors for those feelings. And cell receptors, we're going to reduce them as much as you can shed in this moment, specifically with joy and ease though, and in the highest and best for you. So for some people, it might be 20%. For other people, it might be 65%. So we're going to let the subconscious mind, which is very good at keeping you safe and comfortable, identify exactly how much of those cell receptors that you can release for your own personal comfort. So with joy and ease and the highest and best, we're going to reduce those cell receptors to a percentage, to an amount that's comfortable for you in this moment. Good. Good. Perfect. So there's been, I don't know about you guys, but this last full moon's been a doozy. A lot of people are like really reaching out to me and saying, because I've been doing a lot of exclusively programs, and I got the call from Creator this week that I needed to make myself available for people who needed more ad hoc and individualized support. So what I'm going to be doing for July and August, only for as far as I know now, is I'm going to be opening up my private sessions again to the general public. So if you feel that you need like a specific individual tune-up so that you can fully and completely align with your windfall experience, I want you to know that you can reach out to me. You'll be noticing on my online booking calendar that that one-off session will now become available and accessible again to the general public. So that's actually starting next week, July, as of like July 3rd, I think is the first business day. So, and I'm also doing a promotion because I really want to leverage and support you in accessing your dreams. So you'll see in my promotion, I actually have a promotion coming up, which is about 18% off of my hourly rate. So you'll be able to access my my 1 hour session for less. So if you found this program, or if you found this webcast helpful, feel free to invite your friends to the Dream Life Mastermind group, because inside this group, the replay will stay here. If you feel that you need a little nudge in the right direction, I'd highly recommend just, invest in an hour of your time. I can clean up a lot of stuff in an hour, especially when we're talking about your specific issues and programs and biology that's getting in your own way. I would love to see you overcome your self-sabotage and be able to give yourself permission to move forward in your new windfall experience. So if you're ready for that, what I'm doing for this summer is I'm opening up those one-off sessions again to the general public. It's going to be a limited offering, and I only have so many because I do have quite a few people that I'm running my programs right now. So do reach out. I'm going to pop in the link for my calendar if this speaks to you. So of course, there's no obligations. All of the downloads that I did in this webcast are very supportive. And I know a lot of people will get a lot out of them, even though that they're generalized. So what I'm saying is that every once in a while, you have a specific sticky belief, you have a specific experience that you just need a little nudge to get over. And that's where that one-on-one individualized work will really support you in getting over that hump and really like accelerating your way into that windfall experience. So I hope that you found this webcast supportive, insightful. I really would love to hear your feedback as to if this helped you to kind of like identify what's going on with you, right? So you're like, oh my God. So did this help you to identify what is going on and why it's not just a neurology, it's a biology. So we are beings, we are interdimensional beings. So we're not just our thoughts, we're not just our feelings, we're not just our actions, we're not just our soul, we're a mishmash of a bunch of different things. So it's really important to keep all of that in mind when we're working on ourselves so that we can move forward to achieve our goals. And if it speaks to you, if you're still feeling stuck, feel free to reach out to me. I would really, really love and appreciate if you took a second to let me know what kind of insights this particular webcast has offered you, what questions you might have that were triggered by this webcast, and what questions that you might have that you would like for me to address and offer some general feedback in our next webcast in the Dream Life Mastermind group. So I would really, really appreciate it if you would take a second. Again, feel free to share it with all your friends. Having more information in order for you to get to where you want to be is always a credit. It's always a benefit. It's always a great thing to have in your back pocket. So I hope that you found this particular webcast supportive. I know for me, as soon as I started to recognize when my clients would sabotage windfalls, it started quite a while ago. But when I sat down to map out the neurology, it created a really clear path of how to overcome it. So I've shared some insights and the process that I use, kind of a big picture view of what I do to help people get from where they are to where they want to be. So thanks so much for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. I know so many of you guys were able to listen live, which is super awesome. This is going to be available for replay for those of you who are in different time zones. For those of you who at work, don't worry, you're not going to miss out. Feel free to share this with your friends. The more people that are happy and enjoying their life, the better the world we live in is. Gandhi wasn't full of it. He knew the truth. If you want to see change in the world, change. Be the change that you want to see in the world. So if you can work on your stuff and you can create the life that you want, then you bring more awesome into the world, and then you make the world more awesome. And if we could all just really focus on creating the realities that we want for ourselves, then we can support other people in a better way of doing it for them too. So be a service to yourself, be a service to others, be a service to your community. But you got to start with filling your own vessel first. So we'll talk to you. See your questions. I will actually answer your questions in the comments. So if you have them, I'm going to keep an eye open. Feel free to tag me if you want to as well. And it would be my pleasure to offer you some insights as to any particular things that came up for you. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.